FightSaga.com and Halftime Pizza proudly present Real Talk with boxing professional Rick Glaser.
Welcome. Happy Monday to all of you guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and had fun watching all the big games in either NCAA or the NFL. But guys, well, it's time to talk about our favorite pastime. Well, the sport of boxing, the business of boxing, and everything that's going on currently. And it's our pleasure to introduce a gentleman who's been in this business for, well, over 3 decades. And that's the incomparable, real Rick Glaser. Rick, how you doing, brother?
Not bad. Glad to be back. This Monday night, a big day in American history, very somber day being September 11th. But we always will remember those that lost their lives on September 11th, in 2001.
Indeed. And once again, this really hit close to home to a lot of people. I know at that time, I was with someone who was from New Jersey and who just had finished visiting her parents from New Jersey, and she was taking a flight. She decided to take an earlier flight, but was supposed to be on flight 93. How do you like that? Well, so yes, this hits close to home, and I know you know a lot of people that this affected.
Yes, quite a few. A well-known boxing guy lost his brother, who was a New York City fireman.
Yep.
In that horrific, the Twin Towers. Quite a few people. A friend of mine, son-in-law was a stockbroker. He was in that building. And a commodities trader, I believe it was. I'm sorry if I said stockbroker, commodities trader. And it just, life's never been the same for so many people, so, and for daily Americans that travel daily, life's never been the same because we go through so much more to board the same plane flight we used to board with such ease, so it does go both ways, you know what I mean, all the way around, you know what I mean. It was just
indeed
not a good day.
Yeah, not a good day. And look, once again, I was picking my honey up at the time from the airport because she was really pissed off that she took an earlier flight, and then nonetheless she had to spend the night in Dallas-Fort Worth, that huge airport. And so she didn't fly in until early that morning. I picked her up at the airport and I bought her breakfast. We were sitting at a cafe, and all of a sudden I see this horrific news on all of the TV screens. In that, Rick, right. What were you doing when you saw the live coverage?
Actually, I was laying in bed. It was like 9:07 in the morning, and I was making a deal overseas at that time. And I jumped off the phone. I saw the one plane hit. They showed the one plane already had hit it. And then I said to myself, this is no accident. Then the second plane come in, boom. I go, well, that's second in that vote for sure. And, it was terrible. And then that thing happened in the Pentagon. The thing happened in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
The people seem to forget it wasn't just the Twin Towers. It was the Pentagon. It was that small town in Pennsylvania where the plane crashed. So there was 4 different incidents, in the same few minutes. And, America's never been the same since, to put it mildly.
Yeah. So next time you're en route somewhere and you get stopped by TSA and you feel a little irritated, just understand that it's better to be safe than sorry, guys.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very easy to lose sight of that. But guys,
I tell you what, every time I go through TSA, I literally thank those people. Literally.
Yeah. And there you go. And as you should, my friend. And once again, God bless America, guys. And God bless America on this each and every day of the year. We live in the greatest country of the world. I truly, genuinely believe that. And I tell you what, guys, never forget, guys. And so we're moving on now to boxing. And guys, we're starting things off with one of our favorite segments, something, well, exclusive to War Week Radio. Here we go, Big Rick.
Maybe, just maybe, it's time for Rick Glaser's Twitter Watch. Bing!
Thank you, Teddy. My word. I tell you what, never ceases to amaze. Every time I start doing a show, my phone just goes berserk, as I'm sure yours does also. Here we go. Number one tweet. And this was just 8 hours ago today. And you quoted, you tweeted, or should I say X'd, quote, "Do you know what's sad? Many boxing enthusiasts in this era think that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a better fighter than Archie Moore, the Mongoose, because Archie had 23 losses. That is sad, isn't it? Boxing enthusiasts in this generation don't have perspective," end quote.
And the same thing can be said for Roberto Duran. They think that Mayweather was better than Roberto Duran because he had like 16 losses. They don't understand the era of boxing. They don't understand how long these guys fought. These guys fought into their 50s, for Christ's sakes. And, I mean, they just don't understand. They really don't,
Well, first of all, before they even talk about a fantasy matchup, they don't even mention, and I have to always mention, okay, are you talking about Floyd's rules, or are you talking about the rules in which they engaged in war, in battle? Right? 15-round fights, same-day weigh-ins. How do you think Floyd would fare under those conditions? And do you think Roberto Duran would chase his ass out of the ring in a 15-round fight, same-day weigh-ins?
Well, listen, I'll answer that. I'll answer that question real easy. He turned down Paul Spadafore 3 times. Floyd did, twice at lightweight. And he wouldn't fight Paul Spadafore. He wouldn't have fought Roberto Duran at lightweight. So there you go.
No. And, once again, everyone always asks, and I remember interviewing Tommy Hearns, a great hitman. By the way, he hated the Motor City Cobra. He hated that. He hated that nickname, and he said, please don't call me that ever again. So it is the hitman, Tommy Hearns. And I said, Tommy, I need to ask you this because I'm going to write an article about this. And I said, look, how would you have fared against Floyd Mayweather, prime for prime? And he goes, 15-round fight, same-day weigh-ins? And I said, of course. And he goes, well, first of all, he'd do everything he possibly could to get out of that fight. And second of all, he said, look, if I could touch him with the left hand, the right hand was coming. Right. I would have knocked him out. He said, I would have knocked his ass out within 6 rounds. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I really do. Tommy Hearns punching down at people was an amazing thing, and he would have definitely been punching down at Floyd. Floyd was not a big guy, and not a tall guy, and I definitely believe that. But let me tell you something that Tommy didn't tell you.
Yes, sir.
Tommy, during the course of his career as a pro and amateur, had 4 nicknames. Now, you hit on 2 of them. Two of them. Okay. The other 2 were Tommy Hurricane Hearns and Tiger Tommy Hearns.
Oh, geez.
So there you go.
Yeah, well, that's great, man. Thank you, brother. Once again, a bit of boxing trivia from the real Rick Glaser, and we appreciate all of your nuggets of wisdom on this program, but we need to move forward because we're in tight 60. And El Pinche, hey, kudos to you, brother. Thank you for joining us. Sweet Amber, Big Rick salutes. Well, it's a little early for Sweet Amber, but, and once again, guys, I have quit drinking, okay? No more for me. No more for me. Doctor said it was a big no-no, and quite honestly, I like being sharp 24/7. Nothing else like sober, or nothing else like being sober and sobriety. But thank you, LPJ. Thank you for joining us, sir. And also Team Batman Boxing, thank you for joining us, sir. And also Willie. Willie, in the immortal words of Alf. What do you guys make of the Frank Martin Shakur situation? Guys, patience. Rick's going to get into that a little bit later on in the program. All right? Oh, we just lost Big Rick Glaser. Hopefully he gets right back. He probably had to answer a very important phone call. But, guys, we're going to get back into it. Now, keep in mind, if you guys have any other questions for the real Rick Glaser, please let him fly. Okay. You guys, once again, I always take pride in you guys being, and I brag about you all the time, that you guys are among the most intelligent and insightful within the entire boxing community.
Don't get too carried away. Don't get too carried away.
Well, look, I'm just comparing this to other, and you know this already. I'm just comparing this to other podcasts.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Of course you are. Of course you are, my friend. And you already know this. I don't need to tell you, Rick. Yeah. My listeners are indeed among the most intelligent.
Listen, everybody that's listening, I always tell Joe, his listeners ask him good questions and stuff like that. So I truly mean that. So there's your answer right there.
Thank you, Big Rick, and thank you. And I already know this, and this is one of the reasons why you've chosen and agreed to become a regular fixture on this channel. And it's largely because of, well, our great listeners and our extended Warwick Radio family. But moving on, here we go.
It wasn't the size of the mosquitoes in friggin' San Antonio. Those friggin' things that fly around there. Those goddamn things. Oh my God.
They're a thorn in my side as well, brother. And once again, I'm a musician as well. And I got so pissed off one time. I had a gig, right? And this was just a music gig. That I actually threw one in the San Antonio River at 007 Bonds, Rock Nightclub. Oh. Yeah. So there it is. Here's our next one, though. And this was 20 hours ago, 8:45 p.m., September 10th. And you stated this, Rick, on Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call that. Quote, managers and fighters nowadays want to spend their money on PEDs. They no longer spend it the old-fashioned way by bringing in top sparring partners. I don't understand that thinking, especially if you're caught hot on PEDs, the extreme penalties the fighter will suffer. Makes no sense. Now, Rick, have you noticed a dip in your personal business? Do you get less and less managers and fighters calling you? Yes. Why do you think that is? That's absurd.
Just what I said. It went from supplying 8 sparring partners a month on an average, 100 a year, to now supplying 2 a month, 2.5 on a month on an average, but basically 2 a month, between 2 and 2.5 a month on an average. So let's say over 2 months, 5 guys. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I usually send 2 at a time. If they take anybody, they may take 1 guy now at the most. It's crazy. They're spending money on PEDs, and they're not saying so, but I can see the difference in the fighters, by looking at them and their physical strength and everything else. I can tell. So that's where they're spending their money, and it's crazy, but that's just what's happening in the business now.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. And once again, this is why I stopped covering this story quite a while ago. It's the worst kept secret in boxing. It's become a joke. And once again, I pose this question to you, Rick. Why should any critics or fans give a shit about this issue if the fighters who are taking the risks really don't care?
Well, because it's not I'm not saying it's a pure sport to start with, but it sure don't help with performance-enhancing drugs. And guys can get hurt bad enough without performance-enhancing drugs, let alone with. So it's not a good thing, no.
Yeah, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And in my opinion, it's really tempered the product. You don't get guys engaging in all-out wars, sitting in the pocket, slamming against each other. Now, they're very respectful, understanding what's at risk here. Now you see guys only pot-shotting, throwing 1 or 2 punches at a time. And now you get, well, the first one who seemingly lands a clean shot, well, usually, more often than not, is the big winner. It's really tempered the product compared to what we saw in the 80s. 100%. Would you agree with that? Yeah,
100%. Not even a question. It's everything about it. I mean, has it cost me money? Sure it has. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I'm not suffering because of it. My business is big enough I can overcome it. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But it's just a different, they think differently today.
It's terrible.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
It's terrible, Rick. And once again, So your two options, your two conclusions that you actually have to come to by understanding this is, one, are these guys staying active to the point where they don't need hard sparring and a shorter camp?
No,
Is that
no,
what? No,
no,
obviously that's not the case.
no.
So,
Opposite way around.
yep, that's it. They're less active and they don't require as much sparring because, once again, they're juicing to the nines, guys. You have to understand this has become an epidemic in our beloved boxing, and it's not good. And Rick is right on the money with this. So we move on to I love this one. And once again, I have to point this out because we stated this exactly. And just so you know that this is everyone within the business is thinking this exact thing. And what did you deem? What was your nickname for Eddie Hearn?
Horrible Hearn.
And there it is, guys. I don't like to cast aspersions against anyone in this business, but I'm sorry. Well, we call a spade here. And I think Rick's nickname for Eddie Hearn is starting to stick. So here it is on September 9th at 12:42 p.m. Rick said this on X. He said, hashtag Haney Progrise, December 9th in San Francisco, and it's on DAZN pay-per-view? You can't make this feces up. What an effing blunder. This had pay-per-view flop written all over it in red ink. Ah, very witty. I see what you did there. And boxing pay-per-views historically do poorly in December. What a financial miscalculation this is going to be, end quote. Rick, why? Now, once again, I understand the logic of pulling this from October 28th, December 9th, DAZN pay-per-view. What does this tell you about how much Haney Progrise, how much they're getting paid?
It sounds like they're getting overpaid, and they can't put it on regular DAZN. It's just ridiculous. It's not a pay-per-view fight. What I don't understand about boxing today, somebody have to explain to this. If you can't make the biggest fights for amount of money where the promoter will feel comfortable and can turn a profit, why would you overpay these dumb bastards? You don't suffer. The fucking fighters will suffer without fighting. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like bidding against yourself. You're like bidding against yourself.
That's it. The only thing I can come to, the only conclusion I can come to is it's desperation. Because when you look on the DAZN calendar, it is a barren wasteland. Okay? Without Canelo, without a huge attraction. I mean, when you, like in America, without Canelo, what do they have? And then you've got numbnuts, right? And once again, Ryan Garcia, last time he competed was on Showtime, not on DAZN. Yep. I mean, technically,
no. That's not true. That's not true. It was on DAZN pay-per-view too.
That's right. And once again, the great majority of the proceeds were purchased from the Showtime platform. I understand. Yep. In my opinion, now this isn't on Fact or Fiction. This isn't on Twitter Watch. Rick, does Ryan Garcia? He just tweeted that he's going to fight by the end of the year, and we just saw Teofimo Lopez announce that he's been given WBO super status at 140 pounds. Do we have to look? Can we look forward to that meeting later on this year, which would be the biggest pay-per-view on DAZN? No. Chingao.
No.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping because that would be a blockbuster.
That won't happen.
Ah, Chingao. That sucks. So now, guys, we're going to go into our main event, our final Twitter watch. Here it is. This is what you guys tuned in to hear. At 2:43 p.m., September 9th, Rick stated this on X. Quote, either Frank Martin punked out of the Shakur fight or Al Heyman talked Martin out of the fight. Well, you forgot to mention that maybe Derek James convinced him it's a fight that he can't win. Either way, you said this, it's one or the other, and both horrendously stink. Martin's new name, Frank Garbage Martin. Hashtag Top Rank, hashtag ESPN, hashtag Boxing, hashtag Vegas. Which one is it, Rick? And once again, you told me that you got the skinny, so let it fly, brother.
Well, what basically happened was that they got offered $800,000. They came back and offered him another $500,000. I'm sorry. PBC said yes to $800,000. Then they called back the next day. No, we need another $500,000. He says no, we'll give you $250,000. So it's $1,050,000. They said yes. The kid said yes. The next day he sent the contract, and all of a sudden crickets. So that's what happened.
Oh my gosh! But you still don't know the motive.
No, nobody really knows the motive in truth, but everybody's surmising in the business that Heyman talked him out of it, and Derek James, because Derek James already had Spence getting beat down by Crawford. He's going to get Spence beat down by Crawford again at the end of the year. Now he's going to have Canelo probably going to beat fucking Jermell Charlo. And now have this happen too. I think this is more than everybody's ego could handle at PBC, including Derek James.
Yeah, well, I tell you what. Since when is this sport? Since when is this sport about the fucking trainers? You know what, dude? Before Freddie Roach became a rock star,
hold it.
Yep.
Don't forget, Heyman's got all these fighters too, so he's getting a beat down too, besides Derek James.
Well, not at the bank, but yeah, look, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When has this sport ever been about the damn promoters either? And yes, I said promoter Al Heyman. Look, once again, let's go back and educate once again, or not educate. These guys already know, our listeners. Let's remind them once again about the business of boxing. Promotions 101, Rick. If you're not a ticket seller, and Frank Martin isn't, he makes Devin Haney look like Gervonta Davis in terms of ticket sales, right? Let's make that clear.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
Promotions 101, the only way to increase a fighter's market value when he's not a ticket seller is to stick him in tough matchups.
Yep.
He just turned down a great one for the WBC trinket at lightweight. Yep. What the hell are they thinking? Does Heyman still not understand that the rules of promotion within the sport of boxing, the business of boxing, they're absolute? You don't tinker with them. They're time tested. What the hell?
I don't know what he's thinking, but they're thinking that one of their guys is going to lose to another top-ranked fighter, and their record is horrible against top-ranked fighters, so they're probably sitting this one out.
Oh, come on! I mean, this is once again, he's 28 years old. What the hell is he waiting for, and why is he even in this business if he's turning down title opportunities, Rick?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him why he gets $75,000 a fight the last couple of fights, and now he's going to get would have got a big portion of $1,050,000. So I don't know what he was thinking.
Chingao, biggest he turns down a career high payday and the opportunity to fight for the WBC. Okay, so once again, Eric, our brother Eric Carr, welcome to the show. So he goes, or Derek James told Martin he wouldn't be available to train him. That's poppycock. Come on now, guys. Come on. But thank you, Eric, for joining us. And Sean Johnson, you guys sound like you hate PVC. Well, you do, from your vantage point, I'm sure that sounds like it. But no, we're talking about the business of boxing, brother. We're talking about the business of boxing.
Right.
Once again, the truth isn't relative, Sean Johnson. The truth is absolute. And we're speaking in terms of absolute truths. So try again, brother. Try again. We want to welcome our brother Hands of Stone. I actually made it this time. Thank you, brother. Thank you. We're just getting started, even though we're already almost 30 minutes in. So now this segues into our next segment.
Hey, we ain't ducking and dodging nobody. It's time for Fact or Fiction.
Thank you, Floyd. Thank you, Floyd. We appreciate it, brother. And so this leads us into Fact or Fiction number one, Big Rick. Number one, Fact or Fiction. There are no more real fighters left in the sport of boxing, only businessmen. Fact or Fiction?
Oh no, there's real fighters. You know, there's a Crawford. There's a Nui. There's real fighters. Believe me.
Well, you know what? They're very few and far in between because you know this.
That's true. That's true.
You know this for a
That's
fact.
true.
And this guy's has become an epidemic. Guys turning down opportunities, even at the 4, 6, and 8 round levels, and they're not even ticket sellers, and they're turning down opportunities. This has become an epidemic. Rick, how has this affected your business personally, brother?
It has a little bit, but I always find guys will take fights. It's not that you do get. It does take longer to make a fight today because people up several turn it down before you get somebody. So it's more time consuming. But it doesn't affect the bottom line because I eventually get somebody.
Oh Lord, have mercy, man! Look. Look, this is the last time I'm going to acknowledge you on this show or this platform, Sean, if you don't change your tune, brother. I'm getting ready to block your stupid ass. You hate Heyman for sure. Look, we dislike, look, let me speak relatively now. I dislike a lot of people, and I love a lot of people. Once again, what does that have to do with anything that we're talking about? Okay? So once again, we're speaking about the absolute truth of the business.
Let me tell Sean how. Sean,
wait, hold on, Sean, Rick. Let me put the tee in the grass and let me put the ball swing away, my friend.
Okay, so Sean, are you an LDBCer, a Heymanite, a Heyman Johnson jumper, an Earl sexual? What are you? Identify which faction of a Heyman follower are you? Okay, you keep drinking that Kool-Aid.
Here's another one. Once again, this is the last time I'm going to acknowledge this guy. It says only top rank guys, your business guys that sure that's smart. Would you like to comment on that in terms of destroying the sport?
Yeah. Heyman's destroyed boxing, and he's attempted to. He continues to try to do so. And make a long story short, his fighters are 4 wins and 21 losses against top-ranked fighters over the course of the year.
So I'm talking about now what the actions of Bob Arum compared to the actions of Al Heyman in terms of quote-unquote destroying the sport.
Oh, well, destroying the sport is Bob puts it on free TV. Almost all his fights, except a couple a year, go on free TV. Whether it's ESPN or ESPN Plus. You have to subscribe to the Plus, but it is what it is these days. And Heyman puts everything on pay-per-view. So who's better for boxing? Heyman, Top Rank does 66 shows a year worldwide, and Heyman does 15. So,
okay.
So in comparison to automobiles, let's see. Bob's the Rolls Royce, and Heyman's the Kia.
Okay, so now look even further, right? Now look even further. Look what we're talking about on Fact or Fiction. That this sport consists almost exclusively, solely. It's filled and littered with businessmen, even guys at the 4-round level. Oh, well, do you have any YouTube footage on this guy? And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a 4-round fight. Well, let me talk to my dad about that. You know what? Kiss my ass. The fight isn't on the table any longer. Go talk to your barber. Go talk to whomever cut your grass. The fight's off the table now. Look, James Toney back in the day, did he need to talk to anyone about taking on a 4-round opponent at the club level? He didn't talk
to anybody about a 12-round fight. He just made up his mind to go do it. That's how he fought.
Exactly. Now, who do you have to thank for that? Bob Arum or Al Heyman?
Yep. I get it. Sean doesn't get it, but Sean doesn't get it.
No. And once again, guys, if you want to learn more about the business of boxing, and my only bias, as well as Rick's, is we're very pro-boxing. Anything that's positive for the health of the sport, we fully endorse. Anything that's terrible for the health of the sport, we fully endorse. That's our only bias here. Do you get it, Sean? Do you get it? So if you want to learn more about the business, shut up and listen.
Around.
Okay? And there it is. Bacon and eggs. All the above. Welcome to the show, sir. Also, Hyphy, very insightful always. And he says this, PBC ruins fighters' careers by keeping them inactive. No PBC fight fan, ever reached their peak potential as a fighter or financial earnings. Look, and I will say this, Rick, this is a huge problem for PBC. Now, once again, how many prospects do they have coming up or potential superstars do they have in their pipeline?
None that I know of. A lot of suspects, no prospects.
This is a problem for PBC moving forward now, isn't it?
Yep. They have an aging,
guys.
Their top roster is very aging. Look at the aging of the fighters.
Yep. And this is the final thing I'm going to show. I promise. Oh, I get it. Aram is the OG. No, you don't get it. You're not fucking listening. And maybe, wait, Rick, are we speaking Mandarin Chinese here?
No.
Apparently so. Apparently we are. So we're moving on, guys. We're moving on. Ching Gao, dude. I'm starting to feel my blood pressure rise. Ching Gao. Number 2, Fact or Fiction. Rick, Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder will never happen ever. I don't
know about that. I don't know. It doesn't look promising right now, but I never, ever is a long time. So I would say it's got a shot at happening.
Well, I will say this. How much more difficult is it going to be to make after you've dangled that Saudi life-changing purse carrot in front of their faces?
Well, it still could happen over there. They'll figure it out.
Let's hope that they do, because that is a great matchup, one of the best matchups you can make in boxing. Yeah, unfortunately, when you dangle that inflated purse carrot in front of their face, well, it's going to be very hard to throw what would seem like, even though it's a great life-changing payday to most people, you dangle a meager $15 million carrot in front of their face now. Yeah. They're like, well, wait a minute. What happened to the 40 million rock that the Saudis promised? Yeah, that's a problem when talking about trying to make fights with prize fighters. Ones who have grown accustomed to receiving inflated purses. That's a real problem, Rick. That's a real problem. Eric R. has the beat. And this going back to Frank Martin. Turning down title shots are foreign to me, Rick, as they should. What other era have you ever heard of this, Rick?
None. No. End of the story. None.
And it's bad, guys. This is bad. This is bad. Now, once again, talking about receiving inflated purses, Hy-Vee says, Rick, what does the future hold for Andy Ruiz besides a Snickers bar?
Yeah, maybe 4 burritos at lunch. I don't know.
Well, I will say this, though. Burritos are flipping delicious. Especially at my favorite restaurant in San Antonio, Las Palapas. But, yes, it's not a big payday. Once again, what determines your market value in this business, Rick?
Popularity, ability, who you're fighting, a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Even the date you're fighting on, even what network you're fighting on. You know, as far as pay-per-view, who the backer is of the pay-per-view. A little bit of everything counts. Yep.
But once again, market value. Now, once again, you're absolutely right. Quality of opposition does indeed matter and determine how much you're going to get paid. And Andy Ruiz Wilder, you would think, would be a great big payday. And it is for anyone who's not grown accustomed, who hasn't grown accustomed to receiving inflated purses. Once again, I point to Andy Ruiz Jr. making $12 million rock from the Saudis in his rematch with AJ. That's completely ruined him at this point. Because why on earth would he ask for $17 million to fight Tyson Fury?
I actually thought it was 14.5 million, but I'm not going to argue with you for,
Well, it might have. Well, you know what? It may have been 12 million pounds. Maybe that's the way it was reported. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So you may be right, Rick. You may be right. You usually are, my friend. So let's move on. Number 3, AJ will choose to fight opposite Filip Hrgovic for a December date on DAZN. Both men are promoted by Eddie Hearn. Fact or fiction?
I missed Hrgovic and who? Anthony Joshua?
Yes, for a December date on DAZN.
It could well happen, yes. Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, with your matchmaker's eye, who wins?
I think Joshua's got enough left to get it done.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you what, we'll find out what Coach Ronnie Shields thinks tomorrow. But yes, Rick, anyone who doesn't understand, there's a reason why Rick has such a keen eye. One, he's been in this business for over 3 decades. And 2, yeah, he's got that matchmaker's eye. He's very good at assessing talent as well as levels of talent. That's why we love him on this show. Number 4, here's another one in the heavyweight division. Number 4, fact or fiction, Big Rick. Joyce will pull off the mild upset later this month.
No.
And regain his number 1 contender status with the WBO.
I don't see it. I think he's going to be. I think the same thing's going to happen to him as Spence, another beatdown. You know.
Oh boy,
he's just too slow. He's too slow. And he don't move his head. I mean, how did he get faster? Come on.
Oh boy. See, this is a problem. So why on earth did Joyce turn down over $1 million to step aside and allow Zhilei Zhang to fight Tyson Fury earlier this year?
I have no idea why that happened.
And Low Clarity states this: Zhang has his number, Rick. Do you agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Definitely.
Oh, boy. Now, here's another question from our brother Hyphy, one of our more insightful extended family members. He says this: Rick, how can PBC build David Morrell Jr. into a fighter that's worth the risk and reward? That's a tough dilemma for PBC currently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What can they do, Rick? What can they do?
Not much.
Because once again, the Subriel Matias is going to be facing Hrgovic, or what is his name? Ergashev, right? Later in November, I think the first weekend in November, according to Steven. And on that card, they wanted to put David Morrell Jr. on that card, but no one wants to step in the ring with this kid. That's a dilemma, isn't it? When you're trying to, manufacture one of the future stars of the sport, what do you do if you're Al Heyman, Rick?
You pay a guy 3 times what he's worth. That's how you do it.
Yeah. And that's not and talk about that. That's more common than I think fans realize. A lot of times a blue chipper, to try and get the right opponent, to trying to get any opponent, they have to overpay opposition now, don't they?
Yep.
What's the most egregious example of that you've ever known?
I don't know. I can't remember one, but I can't remember one offhand, to be honest with you, but there's been quite a few over the years. Let's put it that way to you.
Yeah, guys, and once again, this is a real dilemma for PBC, where David Morrell Jr. is more risk than reward by everyone within the business. When David Benavidez elects to face Demetrius Andrade, someone who no one's ever looked good against. He elects to face him and not Dave Morrell because Team Durrell, they wanted that Benavidez fight. They wanted that Benavidez fight, but Team Benavidez, they thought the wiser of it. That's a problem for Dave Morrell. And this is how you would think that fight were to make. Now, once again, the manager of Benavidez is Luis Jr., right? And the manager of Morrell Jr.
Hold on, the manager. Oh, the manager who's what?
The manager of Benavidez is Luis Jr.
No, he doesn't have a manager. The father's the manager, and Samson Lukowicz is the promoter of the fighter.
Yeah, I know that Samson is. So are you serious that he doesn't? His father is the manager now?
Well, he's been for a while. And the other guy is the Samson's the promoter. Luis de Cubas doesn't have anything to do with Benavidez.
Oh boy. See, that's not what I was told, but that makes a lot of sense now, Rick. So thank you for educating us on this show, my friend. So we're moving on. Number five, Mike Tyson, although great from a marketing perspective, will actually prove to hurt Ngannou's chances for a major upset on October 28th. Fact or fiction?
There's nothing that's going to cause Tyson Fury to lose that fight. Come on.
Yeah,
Seriously.
yeah. But I will say this, though, Rick. If he had a real trainer, guy with experience, now I point to, now keep in mind, this is indeed Emanuel Stewart that I'm referring to. Now, when faced with Oliver McCall and the daunting assignment of trying to devise a strategy for Oliver McCall to pull off the improbable upset against an undefeated Lennox Lewis, the WBC champion, right? Mm-hmm. At the time, Emanuel Stewart said this: look, you're outgunned. He's the better athlete. He's got the better experience. He's taller, rangier, smarter. The only chance you have, the only weakness I've seen in Lennox Lewis is that he's too confident and he's young and he throws his right hand way too liberally. So what we're going to do for the next 6 weeks, I can't improve everything. So we're going to focus on this one thing. We're going to focus on you slipping the right and landing the left hook straight right hand. And that's all you're going to work on for the next 6 months. That's the only chance you have of pulling off the upset. And guess what? It worked. So right. My point is, Rick.
But Oliver McCall was a real boxer fighter. This guy's an MMA guy. This guy's an MMA guy.
You're absolutely right. But I'm saying without a real trainer, you have no chance at all. Not even 1 or 2%.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So do you think, though, that Bob Arum coming up with the idea of including Mike Tyson in this promotion, was that a stroke of genius or what?
I don't know. I guess because it's a good PR thing, but it won't cause him to win the fight, no.
No, but I tell you what, it's going to sell a lot more units as a result, right?
Uh-huh.
And there it is. Moving on. Number 6. Tyson Fury will never face Oleksandr Usyk ever. Fact or fiction?
He'll fight him.
Really? God, I hope so. God, I hope so. Because, look, from what I've been told, right? And after speaking with the great Javen Sugar Hill Stewart, right, who's a head trainer for Tyson Fury, he's like, look, man, this guy, especially after scoring a big hit in the UK with Netflix, he's got a lot of offers. And only one of them is boxing. He goes, this guy doesn't need boxing to make a lot of money. He's a rock star. Yeah,
he is.
And this is a big problem when talking about him ultimately facing Oleksandr Usyk. He doesn't need him to make money. This is a real problem for us fight fans who desperately want to see this matchup. And you know what? You can't blame Tyson Fury for feeling this way. Your thoughts on this entire ordeal and what, if you had to predict what happens from this point forward with Tyson Fury's boxing career.
Once he fights this guy, maybe he fights John Jones, he's going to run out of these type of fights. People are going to lose interest, and he'll have to go back to the regular boxing, the real fighters.
Well, hopefully Usyk hasn't already retired. In my opinion, I don't know if boxing is on the landscape of Tyson Fury's future. It wouldn't surprise me if he was, cast as the next villain henchman in the new 007 movie, which they're recasting at this time. It wouldn't shock me, and there's a reason why I'm mentioning this, Rick.
No.
Now, this is a problem, guys. If you're looking for the best to fight the best in the heavyweight division, this is a real problem. And you know what? You really have to feel for Mauricio Sulaiman at this time, right? Because he just went ahead and made, we dropped Andy Ruiz down to number 5 in our rankings, and we boosted Anthony Joshua to number 2, Deontay Wilder number 1, and now that fight is in doubt as well. Definitely doesn't have the Saudi money to support it. What's going to happen here, Rick?
Don't know. Well, there's so many moving parts. Everybody's jockeying for position. Who knows?
Okay, this is a great one from our brother Hyphy once again, very insightful. He says, Rick, how do you feel about Manny Pacquiao and other professionals possibly participating in next year's Olympics in Paris, France?
It sucks. That's what it does. Yeah, it ruins everything about the Olympics. I could see when a guy's 3-0 or 4-0 in the pros and goes back to, but not a guy like Manny Pacquiao. Sucks.
Oh boy. So talking to Sean Gibbons, he said, look, this is the only thing that's missing from Manny Pacquiao's, very impressive trophy case is a medal from the Olympic Games. Is this good or bad for boxing? Amateur boxing included.
I don't know. It's not good for the integrity of amateur boxing, if there is any integrity in amateur boxing.
Yep, you said it. You said it, brother. And that is very insightful. If there is any integrity left within the amateur boxing, USA boxing, I should say. Moving on, number 7. We only have about 10 minutes left with you, brother. So here it is, number 7. Fact or fiction, Rick? Joet Gonzalez will pull the upset over Luis Alberto Lopez this Friday night in Corpus Christi, Texas, by way of split decision. Fact or fiction?
I don't think so. I think he should come up short.
Yeah. So why do you think that
the other
is,
guy's real good. The other guy's real good. The other guy's very good. And he's
very
getting better.
awkward and impossible. How do you actually, if someone wants to actually, hold on, listen to this, dude. Listen to this. I got to put get mad at your Marty on. Oh my gosh, dude. No, this is a show that only features guys, legitimate guys, real guys within this business. So try again, Sean. Brother, you're batting zero right now.
What was he saying? What was he saying?
Look, read that. Get manager Marty on. Why? So we can all listen to a ton of bullshit for an hour? Really? He's not a real guy. He's not a real guy, Sean. Try again. And once again, you wouldn't know the difference. Kiss my ass, Sean. Go somewhere else. Go to the boxing voice, brother. I'm tired of you. And there it is. Chingao, dude. Oh, my gosh. Number 8. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rick. My apologies.
I didn't say a word.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said something. My apologies. Number 8. Mercito Gesta will shock the world and KO William Zepeda. Fact or fiction?
Nope. Zepeda's a very good fighter.
Boy, he is.
He'll win it. He'll either win a decision or grind down Mercito Gesta. He's a very good fighter, Zepeda.
Oh my gosh! And William Zepeda trains in the high altitude of Mexico, right? Just like Subriel Matias, he's a machine This guy has a gas tank that doesn't, you will never see it on empty. Who beats, in your mind, Rick, at 135, who beats William Zepeda?
Only Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, I would agree. And Team Batman Boxing has the beat. Zepeda will destroy Gesta. Yep. Yeah. Next one. Oh boy, number 9, Fact or Fiction, Big Rick. Erickson Lubin will once again remind the boxing community that his chin is made of glass when he gets KTFO'd by Jesus Ramos Jr. on September 30th. Fact or fiction?
Definitely. Yes. Lubin, when he came out of the amateurs, was touted as this next great thing.
Yep.
As was Lorenzo Truck Simpson from.
Oh, jeez.
Simpson just lost a couple weeks ago. This guy's been bum. This guy's been knocked the fuck out several times. These guys just don't have the one guy doesn't have the chin, and one guy don't have the gumption. That's all there is to it. But they're both subpar.
Let me ask you something, Big Rick. Let me ask you something. Do you think Jesus Ramos Jr. is probably the best prospect PBC has outside of David Morrell Jr.?
Yeah, probably. I would say that's true. Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't be true.
Yeah, but yeah, in my opinion, I really like Jesus Ramos Jr. I think he may be, one of the few, really promising fighters that PBC has in their pipeline, in my opinion. Oh boy, listen to this, my friend. Listen to this. El Pinche, thank you, brother. I hear Miguel Bochelt is returning soon. Any news about that? Oh boy.
Yeah, what can I say? Leave it like that.
Oh, geez. You know what? Let's hope he thinks about retirement very soon. This is a guy who doesn't need to be taking any more shots. Okay? That's it. Yep. And Off the Ropes has the beat. Thank you for joining us, sir. Sean Johnson, shut your mouth. Rick had facts for every stupid comment Manager Farty had. Rick owns Farty. Yes. That is the truth.
What did this jerk off Sean just say?
Yeah, no, he's referring to back when. Oh, you should bring Manager Marty on this show. Chingao.
Right.
Why? To shine Rick's shoes? Why?
Please.
Okay.
The guy asked the stupid, redundant questions, was obnoxious, rude, outright creepy. Fuck him. Hey, Sean, we got a dick for you to suck on. Fucking Manager Marty, go fuck yourself, piece of shit.
Woo! And there it is, number 10, the final fact or fiction of today's program. Here it is, Big Rick. Fact or fiction: Joe Smith Jr., the Kermit Citron of the light heavyweight division, will lose a unanimous decision in a very spirited affair to Zurdo.
I'll be there. I'll be there. I think Zurdo wins the fight. Yes.
Yep. You know what? I love this matchup. I think it's very entertaining. But what do you think is going to be the determining factor in this fight, Big Rick?
The jab of Ramirez's and how he'll keep Joe Smith turning, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very entertaining fight, though. I do.
And I think Zurdo Ramirez's ring IQ was too high for Joe Smith, too.
You know what? I would agree with that. And once again, Joe Smith is one of the last remaining real fighters in this business. And, I stress business, but, you know what? He's cutting corners, isn't he, Rick?
What do you mean by this? Cutting corners?
Well, you said it last week. He doesn't want to pay for sparring.
Oh, in that sense, yeah, he doesn't. His managers don't want to pay for sparring, and they've called me a couple times, and they find out what all the costs are, and everything, and they just, I said you got to
plane ticket. You got to pay the fighter. You got to pay me. Okay, you got to put them up in a hotel room. You got to feed them. You got to pick them up at the airport. You got to drive them to the gym. You got to give them a hand wraps. Tape and gauze. You got to supply him with a corner man to wrap him and work the corner when he spars, and all this costs money.
Yep.
Maybe they can get a free guy in the gym to do it, but the guy's got to be a professional, be able to wrap the hands. Just putting a guy in a hotel room in the New York City area, if they can get a deal on a room, it's 150 in Long Island where they live, 150 a night. The guy's there for 22 days total.
Yep.
Okay, the guy's got to pay them, about $1,000 a week. Got to pay me. Okay, you gotta feed the guy $60 a day in food. It's a very costly endeavor, and you really have to have two guys, not one. So there's your answer.
Yeah, this is a real problem when trying to prepare for a world-class opponent like Zurdo Ramirez.
Especially a guy that's left-handed.
Yep, that's a problem. Well, hey, best of luck to you, Joe Smith Jr. And I tell you what, do you think that's a result of just this being at his accelerated stage of his career?
Do I what? I'm sorry?
Do you think that this right here, him cutting corners really, do you think this is a result of him being at an accelerated stage of his career?
No, because they've done it for years. No.
Really?
They've done it for years. Yeah.
He's actually had this. Well, that would explain a lot as to why he, came up cropper against Arthur Beterbiev. Now, let me ask you something, Rick.
Sure.
Will we ever see Dimitri Bivol versus Arthur Beterbiev?
No, I think we will, believe it or not. I think we will.
I hope so, because that's the best fight that you can make at 175. That's the only fight to make it 175. Right. Yeah,
yep,
who wins? Who wins, in your opinion?
Bivol, better footwork, better jab, a little higher ring IQ, and also a lot younger.
And there it is. Rick, you survived Fact or Fiction. Thank you for being here, my friend. Any parting shots for our listening audience, sir?
Well, if you go to Frank Martin's tweet, Frank the Ghost Martin's tweet, he said, I ain't ducking. And I replied, Frank Martin, and what do you call it? Ghosting? And it's the hit of Twitter right now. So there you go.
And there
anybody can reach me. Follow me on Twitter at Real Rick Glaser 1. And I've got a verified account. There's several fake Rick Glaser accounts out there, but there's only one real Rick Glaser. Joe,
Rick, thank you once again for your time, my friend. Hey,
see you next Monday. Bye-bye.
And I tell you what, brother, go Bills. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Have fun watching the game, my friend. And guys, that was the Real Rick Glaser. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you missed any part of the show, go ahead and rewind or listen to it later after the big game this evening. Well, and once again, this is what happens, guys. If you come on this program and, try to make an example out of Rick Glaser or myself, this is what you get. And I'm referring to, what was his name? Anyway, guys, this is what happens. We only speak absolute truths regarding the business of boxing. And guys, our only bias, and I'm speaking relatively now, my only bias, and as well as Ronnie Shields, James Gogi, G Funky, as well as James from the Boxing Voice, our only bias on this show is if it's good for the health of the sport, we fully endorse it. And if it's bad for the health of the sport, we're completely wholeheartedly against it. That's the only bias that we have on this show. And if you try to make an example or say otherwise, we're going to tell you, we're going to remind you what time it is. Guys, on behalf of the Real Rick Glaser, I'm Joseph Herron. Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to War Week Radio. Guys, tune in tomorrow for the return of Ronnie Shields. Have a great evening, everybody.
FightSaga.com and Halftime Pizza proudly present Real Talk with boxing professional Rick Glaser.